HBCU Legends fans all over the world, it's Kyle T. Mosley here with another installment of HBCU Legends, and we have a future legend on the rise with us today. I love her work. If you guys haven't had a chance to read what she throws down every week, she has some major bars out there on Anscape that you have to be able to pay attention to. But the great thing about her, she's not just on the rise. She's one of the premier journalists in the HBCU space. I love to read her all the time, and that's none other than Miss Mia Berry. How you doing, Mia?
Kyle, I'm excited. I'm actually so happy you reached out. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Hey, I
Yeah,
pray all of that comes into fruition, that future legend. So I'm actually happy to be in the building with the legend himself. I love your work as well. So happy we actually get to connect on your show instead of just
yeah,
passing each other in press boxes. So all is well on my end. I'm excited.
yeah. I was kidding with you earlier, and first, thank you. I was kidding with you earlier, but guys, we were at the Celebration Bowl, and I'm going one way, Mia and Bill Roden going the other way. I'm like, and Bill said, "Hey, hi, I'm Bill." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm a fan of your work." Then Mia's right there. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh wow, that's Mia." And I was starstruck, guys. I went up. I was like, "That was Mia and Bill. That was me." You're not Eddie Murphy. Me and Bill. Me and Bill.
Were you shocked at the height difference? Because people are like, oh, I
There's a
ain't.
huge height difference there.
Yeah. He was like, I bet
I
you
was
used
like,
to.
"Hey, Bill. Hey,
Bill's
Mia."
like 6'5", 6'6". Bill's huge. I'm like, I'm gonna fight.
He's a gentle giant, but if you ever had a chance to read Bill Roden, you know how great his work is, and he's going to be installed in the Sports Writers Hall of Fame on tomorrow, correct?
I believe so. Tomorrow, North Carolina A&T. I'm excited for Bill. It's been a
Yeah.
learning from him.
Wow. And we'll talk a little bit more about that first. But Mia, tell everybody about you. I know you're from Detroit. You're a native of the mold town of Motor City, and but talk about you and who Mia Berry actually is, and for the HBCU space.
Well, as you mentioned, Detroit born and raised. A lot of that what up though, a lot of that chill, laid back personality is from Detroit. People are like,
Okay.
oh yeah, that goofiness. I am a product of my city and I am very proud to represent in any way that I can. Is kind of shaped who I am, shaped, what I like, especially when it comes to sports. Motor City, like I always crack jokes, long suffering. It started off so high. I'm in kindergarten, the Pistons winning the NBA championship. I'm at a parade, and then it's
You
been
guys don't know anything. I'm from New Orleans. We are long suffering, not you guys at
a Super
Detroit.
Bowl.
We won one, but that's it. And no other professional sport in New Orleans has won a championship other than the Saints.
Yeah, but you guys have had some high years. You've had the Chris Paul years. You got Zion right now. You guys have a little some Detroit. Up and down. The Lions are good again right now, so that's something
Yeah.
I'm bragging out. I'm like, man, I'm so happy I got my Lions gear when it was on clearance because now they charge you full price for everything. Not you can't be a bandwagon like them. Dick's Sporting Good T-shirts used to be $9.99. They were giving them away. Now they up to like 60. I'm like, ooh.
Really?
My yes, thank God for my wardrobe. But for me, one thing I've always been sports. That's kind of that was my upbringing. I played everything, anything.
Did you?
Yes, I did a little soccer. I did basketball. Like that Detroit aggressiveness. Yeah, everybody played basketball at some point in their life in Detroit. Even
Yeah.
if your parents just want you to try it, that's like the entryway sport. I did soccer, but that was more so like a church league just to burn energy. But my dad
Okay.
was feeling that Detroit bad boy energy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make her play basketball." And I already cracked a joke earlier. I'm a little, God ain't give me the couple inches to play. I'm 5 feet, so I love the game. And then going to college, I just stayed around the game, and that's kind of what inspired, the flip into journalism. And, being a female athlete, I always was attracted to giving women coverage because right now it's cool. Like
Yeah.
everybody's talking Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson. Man, growing up, I'm like, why nobody talking about Diana Taurasi? Why Swing Cash not getting anything? Why nobody talking about Tweety? Like
Yeah.
Detroit Shock, Detroit Shock were the best team in Detroit until they left us and went to Tulsa and then Dallas. And I'm like, why are nobody talking about these women? Like my dad used to give me a little section of the newspaper, like, oh look, they did a little something on your Shock, because he knew that's what I was looking for. So
Yeah.
being that little girl always looking for women's sports, I'm like, you know what? Let me change the space. I want to get into that. And then my love of women's sports transitioned into, HBCU work because a lot of what I loved about women's sports, providing that coverage for that underrepresented population is what I'm seeing at HBCU. So it's kind of me going from women to HBCU, same things I love about both. The underrated talent in the HBCU ranks, the stories that you can honestly tell to anyone. And I'm like, oh, I love this. So,
Yeah.
it's been a godsend for me. I have it in my bio. Most people know I did not go to an HBCU, unfortunately, but I considered Spelman was actually my top two. It was Notre Dame or Spelman, neck and neck, and Spelman not having sports at that particular time. I'm like, and a little scholarship money too, but ended up going to Notre Dame. So I just feel like this is my full circle. Like God knew that I loved Spelman growing up. I love the Atlanta scene because I have family, D to the A. And
Really?
yes, Detroit. I can't tell you how many times we've hopped in the car and drove from Detroit to Atlanta growing up.
I tell you,
That 12
I
hours
don't
gets tough in
I
your
don't
boat.
know if you know this. I'm Morehouse. So I'm Morehouse grad. So, and
I
get this, my number one school, my junior year, guys, in high school, number one school was Notre Dame. My number two school was SC because I always loved them growing up. Notre Dame and SC. Then I went to a college career fair, talked to those guys, and they said, "Hey, it costs X amount of dollars." I said, "Well, I will not be attending your college. My
scholarship money.
parents can't afford it."
I kid you not, scholarship money. That's one thing I wish I knew a lot more about
Yeah.
in high school because financials determine a lot. Is who's giving you the most money. And I had great scores. I had a couple scholarships. Probably should have been in the bag a little bit more to fill out more scholarships, but oh yeah. I was attracted to Notre Dame. Skylar Diggins was big.
Yeah.
Back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
So me growing up, I'm like, I didn't know anything about Notre Dame. I saw Skylar Diggins play and said, "Huh, well, it's close enough to my house." My mom always said, "If something happened, y'all need to be able to hop in the car and get to you." So I'm like, well, it falls within her window, so I applied and it worked out. I
How
love
far from Detroit is West Lafayette?
Notre Dame's actually South Bend, so
South Bend. I'm sorry. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm thinking
it's
Purdue. Yeah. Yeah.
northern Indiana is actually 3 hours, and most of the trip, like 85% of the trip, you are in Michigan. So you just go right all the way across, and then you dip down into Indiana for, like, the last
Okay.
15 minutes.
Right.
So, I we did that drive. I told you, we from the Midwest. For some reason, that means, parents don't believe in planes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the Detroit contingent for Spelman, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta. Well, it was just Clark then when I was there, and Mo Brown was
Mhm.
strong, real strong. Matter of fact, it was the Detroit, the Washington D.C., New York guys, and all of those. Those were the good social clubs that kind of made up what we now known as Freaknik. So,
Listen,
so
it makes
yeah,
sense.
I'm giving you, yeah, that's a lot of people believe, oh, Freaknik just started on the, no, started out of the Morehouse Atlanta University Center connections and those guys getting together and wanting to have this big picnic together, and it became Freaknik after that.
I
Yeah, so
believe it. I believe some wildness. Detroit, New York, we don't really have HBCUs up north. So
right.
that's why it was an education process for me. My aunt went to Kentucky State.
Okay.
And that's because her high school teacher kind of was really enforcing, opportunities. You don't have to go to like Michigan State or Michigan. And she lived with us for a little bit because she's my dad's baby sister.
Okay.
So she kind of put HBCUs, and she was like, I went down to Spelman once, and I'm like, I kind of like it here. I'm like, oh, it felt like a mini Detroit, because
Yeah.
Detroit, you see so many of us, and then you go to maybe different campuses. I'm like, y'all do know black people live in this state, right? I'm like, where we
Too funny. Well, look, one of my the guys from New Orleans that I grew up with, Donald Royal. He played basketball for Notre Dame. He was the first guy out of St. Aug High School to go up to play and Notre Dame, and a lot of people didn't know about Notre Dame like I knew about it. I was like, man, it was so great, and he eventually played in the NBA as well. So, but the cool thing about Notre Dame for me was the storied legends from Newt Rockney to Parsegian and all those guys. It was things I grew up watching every Saturday morning. You wanted to see what was happening with Notre Dame, and you also got USC, but I'm a product of HBCUs myself. My mom went to Dillard, my dad went to Southern, and they met at Southern during, I guess, a summer break. And here I am. So anyway,
hey,
yeah,
that's I love those type of love stories.
yeah, it was pretty cool. And my grandmother, his mother, attended Dillard as well. And it was kind of shocking. And I know I'm kind of hijacking the interview,
You
but
fine.
it was kind of shocking to me for my graduation at Morehouse. We're standing in front of one of the buildings on that is adjacent to Atlanta University. And she's like, yeah, that used to be my classroom I taught in. I was like, what? She never told me all these years that she taught at Atlanta University. She graduated, she told me that, but she also taught there. And I passed that classroom so many times of those years, and it was just special to have that connection, man. So it's good. It's good that you had that connection with HBCUs, and but especially what you're doing today when you spotlighted Diamond Johnson just recently, and you also talked about the prospects of HBCU candidates getting into the WNBA. Do you think this is the year we have multiple draft choices, or is Diamond Johnson just the main focus?
I would be surprised if we don't have multiple this year. One thing, I've been covering, HBCU players. I'm like trying to do, give them the promotion that they need. Like
Right.
Jackson State, I was highlighting Amisha Williams Holiday, Angel Jackson, Adriana Evans. She didn't get drafted, but she had the tools and the skill set to get there. This year, the WNBA has shown over the last few years that they are willing to look at these HBCU players. And I think this year, I think we get two. I think we get Diamond Johnson out of Norfolk.
Okay.
Someone asked me, what is your unbiased and biased opinion about Diamond? They're like, unbiased. I really feel like she should go no later than middle to late second round. I'm looking at her talent. I'm looking at the way she's improved from that first year with Larry Vickers to her second year. Some people say, oh, this person improved. I'm like, no, Diamond actually improved under Vickers. A lot of elements of her game, her mid range is so fluid now. She's
It
become a little
is.
bit more consistent from beyond the arc. She's learning how to feed her teammates. Those throwback passes. I'm like, woo, that ball is moving, and you can see the development. And I believe people are going to take note of that. Like, this isn't the Diamond Johnson, the 5-star that just did 5 years of college ball, and you get the same player repackaged.
Right.
No, you're getting a better and more improved. So I think Diamond off rip, you know, unbiased, I feel like she should go top of second round. There are not too many guards that I've witnessed that are better than Diamond. The only knock on her that I can really see teams having is her height. But I see Georgia Amore in the first round, so I'm like, height's not a problem. Height's not a factor.
Right, right. If you can ball,
You can
it shouldn't
ball,
be it
you
shouldn't
can
be a
ball.
factor, right?
It shouldn't. And Diamond hasn't lost a step in her game whatsoever. The same, she's gotten better, even from NC State. You saw what she did against Maryland. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
let's not act like Diamond. Diamond isn't as great as people are saying she is. So Diamond, and I'm gonna throw it to also Zay Green.
Zay, I saw her preparing for. I guess she's been doing a lot of training recently as well, and I like her game. She's always been a very intense player. Talk about her.
First time I saw Zay Green, I was at Notre Dame. She was a freshman at Tennessee. Tennessee, the Muffin McGraw, Pat Summitt, that whole rivalry. So they came to South Bend, and I remember being a student reporter just in awe of her as a freshman. The way I'm underneath the basket, the way she jumped so high for a rebound, I'm like, girl, don't bring it down, just dunk it next time. Like her, explosiveness just as a raw freshman, and you can tell certain players like, oh, she hasn't even peaked yet. She doesn't even she this is all athleticism. She doesn't
Yeah,
even know the game just yet. And you already I tell people this story all the time about Zay. I can see that greatness. I'm like, oh, this girl is gonna be something. And she had a couple up, down, some injuries, the ACL tears,
hmm
ended up at Pine Bluff. And I'm like, hold on, wait, she's in my wheelhouse now. Wait a minute. She's on my coverage player. So very excited to reunite with her and seeing, her relationship with Coach Thornton out at Arkansas Pine, but and really see her confidence come back. I think that's what really took it over the top for Zay, up and downs, injuries, ACL tears. You don't always you can come back physically, but not a lot of players come back mentally.
mentally, right,
So I was
right.
happy to see, the support that Coach Thornton gave her at UAPB, and for Zay to kind of uh, reintroduce her game to people. I'm like, this is the same Zay I saw at Tennessee. That Zay has that size. You can't really teach size. 6'2" guard, so natural, so fluid with it. The shot, the ability to get to the basket.
Yeah,
So I've been a huge fan of Zay's game. And people, I'm saying these are HBCU prospects. People are like, are they really? Yes. Diamond Johnson, HBCU prospect. Zay, throughout her career, she spent 3 years at Arkansas Pine Bluff, longer than
yeah,
any other stop on her journey. I'm
yeah.
calling her HBCU through and through, and I think both of them tremendous gets. I'd hate saying steals because they're literally the best players I can see. They fit on multiple different teams, so I hate to call them steals, but any team that drafts Diamond or drafts Zay, y'all got a good one. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing multiple HBC Diamond and Zay playing this year.
What I loved about Diamond, not only that Maryland game, but
Oof,
when she took over this All Star game, that Libby's women's college All Star game in Tampa, that was like icing on the cake. Like, what now can you say that I can't do? And she actually won that game for them. She hit the game winner at 71, but it was just the way she went into that second half, because I think at halftime she only had 4 points.
correct.
Right. And then after that, she just took the game over. And you did a good spotlight on her as well. What is it about her character as a player that you would like people to know?
Probably her determination and her focus. Diamond is literally the ultimate competitor. And she isn't a competitor that alienates her teammates. She's a competitor that makes them rise their level. You saw
Okay.
it with Mimi Wheeler talking about how much better Diamond made her. Nia Fields, they all rave about her work ethic and how she's so competitive that it elevates them around, elevates the talent around her, which you don't always get with stars.
Right.
Sometimes you get a star, and then for that star to shine, everybody else might have to dumb it down a little bit just so they can shine. No, with Dime, everybody sees her. They're like, okay, we're going to elevate around her. And every single team she's been on, she's elevated the talent. And I think that's what a lot of people should know about her. She's not you hear all these athletes with these issues. Oh, this athlete's selfish. That is not Diamond. Diamond can be on that floor if she has no points, if she's, dishing it out and facilitating the offense and her teammates are shining, she's happy either way. If that score, as long as that scoreboard says she's winning, there she's good either way. And her
Yeah,
play,
and I heard Coach Vickers kind of addressed the fact that some people were having issue with her scoring production went down this season. But if you have someone like Wheeler there, you, I mean, how much ball can you go around? So I think they complemented one another very, very well.
yes, it's also the HBCU tax, especially when it comes to these professional athletes. There's this inherent bias when it comes to a lot of talent evaluators where they don't
Mm,
always respect the talent level that is in the HBCU. So they're always looking at any minor thing to discredit this, that, or whatever. And I'm like, her talent production looked down, but her assists went up.
yeah.
Like, come on, these players don't need to average 20. I'm seeing first round draft picks that don't mock drafts that aren't averaging 20.
And some who get into the first round and have been first round draft choices in the past who came from P4s or whatever really didn't pan out as well. So one thing we have to be able to look at is what what has that player gone through. And you said there's been some trials and tribulations on both sides for Zay as well as Diamond, but they weathered through those storms and they have really produced great games, and people have highly respect what their abilities are on the court, right?
Absolutely. Nothing but resilience with those two. So I'm excited. I have like my little personal watch party going on. I got some stuff pre written because I'm expecting.
Really?
I would say most HBCU fans kind of expect to go in and witness some history. Come in with that expectation because I think we're going to see two very talented HBCU products hear their name called, and we all should be excited. And go ahead, tune in on that WNBA merch website to see. I don't know which teams we're supporting just yet, but be ready. Be on the lookout.
Be ready for it, right?
We have
Now,
wallets ready.
you also covered football as well, and
Mhm.
we talked about HBCU prospects. Let's talk about some HBCU prospects that have been pretty resilient as well, have abundance of talent, but they also been getting that negative press. And the negative press can come from anyone from the haters to the execs who want them to fall down to them. You never know where it's coming from. Shador Sanders as well as Travis Hunter, Heisman Trophy winner. He was a Heisman candidate, in my opinion. Shador should have been up there as well.
Mhm.
Uh, what are your initial takeaways with both of these young men right now going into the draft?
Honestly, I see the HBCU tax once again when it comes to both Shador and Travis. Travis, he won the Heisman at Colorado. Travis should have won the Heisman at Jackson.
He could
Let's
have,
let's
yeah,
let's be real.
yeah.
Travis has been him for a while, and I was happy that the Heisman Trophy finally recognized him at Colorado and that he recognized Jackson. I'm like, thank you, dude, because
Mm-hmm.
this really should have been your award as a freshman. Nothing
Mm,
changed about his game. So Travis, I'm excited to see him as a top two, top three pick. I know he's already up there. I just want to see what position. I would love to see him play both, but at the NFL, it is a lot. But I want to see, does he focus more so on his wide receiver, and then when it comes to like third and long, like special situations, put him on
mhm.
defense, or do you flip it? Do you have him on defense, and then on third and long on offense? You want a little threat.
Right.
Spread it out. So I'm kind of curious to see where he ends up in terms of professional. What do they make him pick? Do they kind of do part time one, full time and another? Because I've seen him at both.
Hmm.
Celebration Bowl. I listen. I knew I didn't see the ball, but I knew he came down with it when he went to OT. So
That was a tremendous catch at the back of the end zone, wasn't it?
tremendous catch, and
And
then
the throw by Shador, you got to give him credit.
I'm gonna give Shador. Yes, I'm gonna go right to Shador, and I'm like, I love Shador's game. He's very accurate. He's been accurate even as a freshman.
There
That's
you
one
go.
thing you can't teach when it comes to being a quarterback, accuracy. I feel like a lot of the hate for Shador is just coming from, his father, the natural, I call it swag. and confidence and aura. That's what I call it. Because honestly, do you want a quarterback coming into a program that's coming into a franchise that's
Who's
struggling?
doubting himself, right?
Yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna learn the ropes, I'm gonna, figure it's gonna be a learning No, I don't
Right.
want that guy. I want a guy that comes in is gonna talk his stuff and say, you know what? I'm gonna come here. The expectation is to win. I
That's right.
love that energy about him. He's been that way since his freshman year. Before he even played a snap at Jackson, he's like, I'm here. And I love that despite the negativity and what people have said about him, it hasn't changed. His
Yeah.
confidence is still there. And I feel like that's going to take him further than, confidence and hustle takes people a lot further than talent has. I've
One
learned that. I've learned that even with my
yeah, one thing I got to give Coach Prime credit. All of his kids, he always instills the confidence. Be confident in who you are. Even when people talk negatively about Shiloh, still Shiloh's pretty confident in who he is and his game. Um, but the support as a father, you have to love that. I know down in New Orleans, people thought Archie Manning was overly protective when it came to Eli and when it came to Peyton, but now he's applauded for doing so. Why is it that Dion is getting such a negative, I guess, narrative on him being that type of father that wants the best for his kids?
Probably because a lot of the people hating on him, they have their own they have their own old-fashioned beliefs about what a black man is and what a black man is supposed to do, and they're not used
Mm,
to seeing a
right.
strong black father figure in a lot of these men's lives. And also, they're also not seeing, usually when you do see a black man, a lot of these athletes aren't coming from the status in which Dion has provided for his children. You know, I've seen athletes, coaches and scouts talk about athletes in a way like, oh, there's no, I need a guy that struggled a bit. I need a guy that has a little extra hunger. And I'm like, extra hunger, struggle. Hold on, that's not a lot of these kids, they very lean on those have like those stereotypes like, oh, I need a kid that's working to get his mama out the hood. I'm like, hold on, nah, a lot of these kids, I don't know where that stereotype come from. A lot of these
Right.
kids, they come from very middle class families. You're not gonna bite off that, oh, get your family out the hood. I mean, they're gonna help mama and dad when they get pros, but I hate like when people bite into those stereotypes. So for one, you see Dion as a strong black man. His kids are not out here with that, oh, I gotta get the no. His kids
Mhm.
kind of exude that confidence as well. And a lot of these scouts know they have to approach them in a certain way. You have to approach Dion with the same respect that you would approach Arch Manning. Like,
Right.
oh, he's not going for that. And a
Yeah.
lot of them, they don't want to give a black man his props some days. Like, hey,
That is so true because I love the fact when Dion first got into the coaching realm, right, and the first couple of press conferences, he said, "Well, if you call Saban, Coach Saban, why aren't you calling me Coach Prime or Coach Sanders?" And some of those guys took it back because they wanted to be Neon Dion. It was Neon Dion. That's the perception that they had in their head. And I had some many meetings with people at a well-known magazine thought, oh, this was just a gimmick. He's not going to stay at Jackson State. He's not going to do anything. Hmm. He shocked and fooled a lot of people, and I have to give Coach Prime credit for that.
oh, absolutely. It was actually a pleasure covering Coach Prime. I'm happy that he commanded that respect. There's a lot of
Yes.
times, coaches walk into situations and I'm like, I don't like I'm like, I'm like, that ain't how you pronounce that man's name. I'm like, you could have asked for some clarification. Hold on. I'm like, this man don't coach Grant. It's a lot of like minor, like microaggressions that I'm like that made a media member turn sideways. And I love how, I love how he just advocated for himself. And I love how a lot of these other coaches are also advocating for themselves as well. Like, you see people come correct. I think that's what I loved about that press conference with Coach Prime, is that people
Mhm.
came correct after that. He set the tone for when
You-
came to press conferences, like, oh, y'all ain't about, this ain't TMZ.
That's
Like,
right.
this is a professional setting. And, you know, even being young, I say coach. Hey coach, how you doing? It's kind of like, give that person that respect.
And it's just not just respect, but it's an honor to be a coach at that level.
Mhm.
Any level, in my opinion, because you have the responsibility of caring for student athletes, and that means a lot. Their development means a lot. The guidance you provide and the mentorship you provide means a lot, more than anybody can ever imagine. And sometimes those conversations between student athlete and coach can go much further than what you would get into the classroom sector. So those are valuable, valuable times. All right, Mia, and let's last couple of things. Let's talk about this. Um, HBCU coaching is, especially in basketball, I haven't seen anything like this before. From the coaching ranks in basketball on the women's as well as the men's side, it's a evolving amoeba right now, revolving and evolving right at this time. My alma mater yesterday, I reported Coach Whitler from Morehouse parted ways because of some issues internally. It wasn't anything that was on the field or basketball court, so to speak. But also, you have some changes swapping inside of the SWAC and swapping inside the MEAC and the CIAA. What do you make of all of this?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. This is my unpopular opinion. I love it. And
Yeah.
it comes to HBCU football, where they're taking more chances on former, NFL athletes, and not, you don't get too many like HBCU through and through coaches getting these opportunities to elevate. I love how the basketball game in HBCU has strictly kind of stayed when it comes to elevating these coaches and giving coaches different opportunities. I
Mm.
love it in that regard, especially Nadine Demond, new head coach of Morgan State, rewarded in that way. Morgan State has always kind of sought out those, DT coaches. You saw it with Damon Wilson, buoyed to head coach of a D1. So I actually love this upward movement. And it also
Yeah.
kind of puts these athletic departments on notice of, y'all better treat y'all coaches right. Not treat your coach, treat your girlfriend right
Some
when
of
you
these boards need to do it as well, right?
treat them right when you have them, because there's always somebody lurking. Somebody
Yeah,
can't wait
yeah,
to make your coach and treat them right. Give them resources, give them scholarships, give them what they're needed. So I've actually been enjoying the carousel. Some of them have shocked me. Ooh, I'm like, Dante leaving, but it made sense. He's going back with his AD, and then the debacle with FAMU. I'm like, there was so much push and pull on this coach, and he turned out to be Patrick Curry's turned out to be amazing. So I'm happy to see Coach Pat go 5-year contract. I'm like, wow.
yeah, yeah. And I
Glad.
think he has what, the coaching option on a couple of those years, if I'm not mistaken, from listening to the contract. So 5-year contract, couple options for him. He makes the change to Grambling from FAMU. Then you have a longtime assistant coach, who Coach Martin. He's gone over to Alcorn State now, and but we've had some old coaches who have retired, or Sandy Pugh, who left
Oh,
Prairie View.
yeah.
And it's a tremendous loss, in my opinion, not to have someone of her statue still in HBCU basketball. But look at the rise of some of these young, talented coaches like Vernette Skeet down here in Houston with Texas Southern. What's your opinion of what you see with her and Dawn Thornton and those young coaches?
The one thing about young coaches, all they need is a chance. I'm not remiss. Like, Dawn got her big chance when Toya Wilson left Prairie View she took an assistant job, and Dawn was elevated there. So I
Hmm.
really, a lot of these coaches, they know what they're doing. One thing about HBCUs, the type of play, the way to recruit, they are very well equipped, especially someone who's been in the system. I rather, these schools start going after these assistant coaches or these former players that
Right.
understand like what the HBCU is. It also kind of eliminates some of those, wild expectations or the culture shock that some coaches are like, hold on, what is this? And I'm like, your what is this is another coach's dream. Like they'll come in and just finesse and they'll do
Yeah.
what they have to do. You mentioned Sandy Pugh's retirement. Gotta add in Coach Frida Freeman Jackson, man.
Right.
I think
Right.
that one hit my soul a little bit, just covering those SWAC tournaments. And I'm like, no Coach Frida on the sideline. I'm like, oh. So
Big. There's a big vacancy.
big
Huge.
vacancy. I'm curious to see how they feel it. Obviously, I think a lot of these schools are going to go younger. You know, if you're going to do that longevity of having a coach for 10, 20 years, 15, 20 years, might be good if the coach kind of start off at maybe 30, 40, not 60. I don't know if you're going to get 20 years.
No, I know when we're us old 60-year-olds, we can't hang 20 years, Mia. And I just, I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say. I'm gonna drop the mic on that one, guys. I'm
Me.
clowning. I'm
You
clowning
know
you. I'm
me, I'm
clowning.
having fun with it. But one thing I actually wish I got a chance to do, Coach Jackson's daughter Bianca was on the coaching staff, so kind of was trying to work through doing that mother daughter story. I
Okay.
wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised if Bianca kind of put her, hat in the ring. Coach with her mother, great pedigree. She was a part of Don Staley's first national championship.
Right.
So there's some
Well,
experience there.
it's interesting. They've been taking their time, right? And you don't know if AD Cable already has that in the works. You bring up a great point.
You don't know. It can also be, they could go SEAC watching. They could go CIAA. It's a lot of great,
Great. Co-
great coaches that would love the opportunity to move up to a D1 program such as the SWAC and already have close recruiting ties. So I'm curious to see, we saw a movement, Virginia State, Coach Demond went up. I'm curious, are there other, D2 coaches in the works ready? Uh,
Yeah. You talking about younger coaches?
younger coaches, it could be kind of older coaches.
Well, I tell you what, there's a good young coach on the staff of Howard who people need to look out for. I'll get his name later. I think it's Anthony. I forgot his last name, but look out for him. He's a great young coach. There's a good young coach at, well, he probably is going to take him with him to Norfolk, who's under Tremaine Jackson over at Coppin as well. So there's some good young coaches that are out there that we have to really pay attention to. And that's a great article for you. Yeah, who are the young up and coming guys?
Listen, I
See,
gotta tell
I'm pitching the article
Hey,
idea to
I
you.
take all suggestions. I tell people some of my best stories. People have slid in my DMs and said, "Look at this," which I absolutely love. My head's always on a swivel. Like, who's the next one? Like
Yeah,
Norfolk State. I love Coach Fox, Trinice
good
Fox.
coach. Yeah.
Great coach, great recruiter and developer, especially when Diamond Johnson was breaking down and how Fox broke down her game, was in the gym with her doing those extended hours. I think one thing a lot of people kind of overlook development
Hmm.
when it comes to these players, and I wouldn't mind seeing if somebody's going to jump on her.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to Coach Tamika Reed about
Oh,
her career once before, and people forget what was her specialty over at Jackson State, recruiting. Before she actually, when she left and then she came back, but recruiting is how she cut her teeth. So that's something we need to look at as well. Those connections with high schools and high school coaches and how you're able to develop that pipeline can really open your eyes to talent or young talent that don't get that will not get that spotlight from the national media all the time. So those are things to look at. All right, Mia, let me ask you this: when did you fall in love with sports writing?
I would say, I so went to college. I was pre-med. Like, I'm from
You were
Detroit.
pre med.
I was
Okay.
pre-med, a first gen college student, the one thing in your head is kind of like, how do I make my parents proud? Like, how do you make your family proud and that they want
Yeah.
to brag about you? And I'm
Right.
like, I didn't like, what is it? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, those top professions. A lot of people kind of get steered toward because they're looking at the money. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, engineer. And I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of numbers. Lawyer, that's a lot of reading. Medicine, I kind of like genetics. I love that. It kind of just, the pun
Really?
it
Okay.
makes sense to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a doctor. When I tell you that freshman year, those weeder classes, that Gen Chem, whoo, that hit. And one thing it made me realize, I I used to freelance for the paper. I was a student writer. I used to cover women's volleyball, and there was a point in time where I'm like, I had an exam the next morning, and I was staying up trying to finish an article about a volleyball player, a volleyball coach. And I at that moment it taught me that this is what I want to do. Like
Wow.
I'm so stressed. Everybody, my roommate's pre-med as well. She's stressed out over this exam. I haven't even opened up the exam materials. I'm not gonna tell y'all what I got on that test. That exam, I can't even tell y'all what I got. It's embarrassing. But when you're sitting down in the midst of all types of chaos, and the one thing that your heart wants to do is sit down and write and make
Yeah.
sure the article you're writing is good, is well thought, you're capturing the essence of somebody, that's when I figured out that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I was so busy trying to force myself into one thing where the thing that I enjoyed the most, the thing I used as an escape from lab work, it kind of I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I think those type of hard nights where I was struggling in one area and finding relief in sports writing is what really said, you know what, you should want a career that always makes you feel like this.
I love it. That's great, man. So you got into sports writing at Notre Dame. When did you know you knew you had something that you really was you had the talent that really was going to take you to that next level?
I would say probably when I landed my first internship. Everyone thinks they're great. Everyone thinks they're amazing. You're doing all this great work. And then it's like, okay, what's next? And the fact that I was able to score an internship, which I tell people this all the time. If I had to redo it, I probably wouldn't have went to Notre Dame because they do not have a journalism program.
Really? I didn't know that.
They don't. So a lot of what I was going through at the moment was really self-taught. And it was, me working for the paper, learning stuff. My major is actually in film and television. So
Wow.
a lot of my classmates, they took that degree. They do a lot of video work. They make videos, content creators for, different companies. A couple of them are aspiring screenwriters. So a lot of what it was, I taught myself. And for me to land like that first big internship, I'm like, oh my God, maybe I am. It kind of gives you that confidence, like, maybe I am good at this. Maybe I'm not like I'm not as bad as I thought. I knew I was raw. Some people
Yeah.
have like that, okay, I'm raw. I need a little fine tuning, a little tweaks here and there. So that internship was like that confirmation that, okay, you can actually do this. Like you got my first internship was with the Boston Globe. Boston's a big sports city. So for
That's huge.
I didn't have any previous experience other than working at the paper. So when I got that, I'm like, okay, maybe I do have some chops. And then when I got there, it was really, okay, learn. Like, what tips? What do I need to know? What
Uh,
advice do you wish you knew when you were my age? So that's kind of where I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then Boston turned into LA Times for an internship. And I was way better in LA. It was like my second internship. I kind of knew a lot more. I got to, I was writing so much. They're like, you can take a day off. I'm like, Oh, I'm having too much fun. What day off? I'm going to the Drew League. I'm going to the Drew League where you see a lot of upcoming kids. Shaquille O'Neal's sons played in the Drew League. Cassius, he went to Duke. I can't think of his last name at the moment, but Duke commit. Jaime Jaquez, he and his sister pulled up to the Drew League and they were playing.
Wow.
So just
Wow.
being in there with the young talent, it's just me kind of going around the city finding stuff that interests me. So, that first internship is what really let me know and gave me the confidence that I can do this professionally and get a little something. Bills are not free.
No, they're not, and they keep coming
Mhm.
every month. And I get on. I didn't know I had so many uncles named Bill that came every month.
Uncles, I call it child support to the electrical, the rent. I said, taxes, child support to the government. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. We got so many similarities. It's so funny. We'll talk offline about that, but that's
Yes.
great. Some great stuff. Um, Advice to young
Journal.
burgeoning journalists to be. What would you tell them to do now?
I kind of alluded to it earlier. The biggest lesson I've learned in my life when it comes to anything, whether journalism, career, is hustle. Because there's been a lot of times where my hustle has taken me further than my talent could at a point in time. People, they're like, okay, she's raw as a writer, but I know she's going to go out and I know she's going to hustle and she's going to grab a story. I know she's going to improve. I know she's going to ask the right questions. So I'm going to say, always have that hustler's heart. People, some people, they're extremely talented, but they don't have that drive. They don't know how to go out and get it. So that's how you distinguish yourself from others. You got to have that hustle too. You got to be like, okay, well, other people are writing this or other people are doing something similar, but no one can do it like I can. And that's
Right.
one thing I really learned. And it took me a while to learn that because I'm like, oh, shoot, somebody else did this. What can I do differently? And I'm like, okay, that's that hustle, that hustler, that Detroit hustle.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
trying to I always tell people about, sometimes I feel like I'm in a position that I am. I was the young kid. This was my first job out of college, but
Mhm.
I had no experience with HBCUs. And they said that, like in the interview, they laid out a couple reasons why they were worried about me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, true born hustler, like you quick on your feet. You know the answer. Hold on, you worried about this, X, Y, and Z, why you should not be worried about this. Like, look, I can do this. So I would say that hustle and confidence, because there are gonna come a lot of the points where the only person that believes in you is you.
Is you. Yes. Amen. That's a
Yeah,
bar right
that's the
there.
bar. Like you have to be your biggest supporter. You
That's
know,
right.
some days like when people are like, "Oh my god, I love your work," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm so surprised," but I'm happy to hear it. But for me, I've always loved my work. I'm always thinking my work is the best thing. It's
It's the
kind of
bomb. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of cool to hear other people say it. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. It brings a smile to my face. But you're gonna hear in this business, you're gonna hear a lot more no's than yeses. So keep
That's right.
that personal confidence in yourself. You can do this, and also that hustle, keep the hustle. And I feel like those two things, I'm talking about journalism, but they translate into so many other avenues of life, regardless of
Mhm.
what industry you're in. Hustle and confidence are going to take you far.
Awesome. Beautiful. You're bringing tears to my eyes because I tell guys, my main career is that I'm an executive recruiter and I own my own business for many years as well. But for 33 years of my life, every day I had to get up and I had to find some way to earn money because I didn't have a salary. So as a recruiter, you've got to hustle every day. And when it came to writing, I just had that same mentality, like you said. I just took that same passion. I got to do something every day. I have to be able to put something out every day. I have to talk to people every day. I have to do something that's going to set myself apart. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. And just keep that up. And let's keep on promoting that to these young guys because there's so many stories that have to be told out there. I don't
Yes.
think it's just so few of us getting it out, but more and more we can be able to get more and more people doing it.
Absolutely. Also, for people, I'm only one person. There are over 100 HBCUs, so my
Yeah,
hat to you, my throw off my hat to anybody in this space because I know how hard it is. I know how hard we work and how hard we
yeah,
hustle to get everything. And I'm gonna say this to the young folk: don't be afraid to throw a couple shots at us. Shoot your shot. If you know
yeah,
a story and you know you can write it, go ahead, reach out. Go ahead, pitch it to our editors.
exactly, man.
Freelance money. You can probably afford to get Chipotle next week
Exactly.
with guac on the side and some queso. Now you don't have to be or double meat. You don't have to be skimpy with it.
Well, it was like me when I was a young guy. It's okay to get some canned soup.
Yeah, listen, I can't tell you how many times soup. I wasn't ramen, but that Campbell's chunky, that
There you
150,
go. There
that
you go. There you
and a
go.
little grilled cheese, that'll get you through the night.
It'll get you through the night, baby. I was telling my son that he's up in New York at acting school, but I was like, "Hey, man, have you ever heard about soup? It's a great new invention. I know it's not mama's cooking, but you need to try it every day if possible because it's expensive sending you money, man." But anyway, those are just some of the little quirks there. But look, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Okay, I'm on pretty much every social media platform with the exception of TikTok because I do not have rhythm. I can't all that dancing and beat. That is not me. But on Twitter, you can catch me at
You
I.
don't have rhythm,
My,
really?
I'm a little. The paleness kind of got to me. I'm a little too. Yeah, don't have it. I try.
Really?
I can have. I know the Cupid shuffle because they be telling me the steps in the song. So yeah. And it's a big group, so I hide. But Twitter at I am Mia Berry, IG M Berry BERRY 3. Reach out to me. I'm usually very responsive. If I'm not, double check, like hit me up as many times as needed. I usually respond. I'm probably just working or doing a lot, but I love talking to people, love giving advice, love helping where I can because I realize I would not be where I am if I
Yeah.
didn't have, the people who are nice enough and kind enough to talk to me and give me advice along the way. So always open to do that and give back to others. So reach out. I don't bite. I'm nice.
Yeah. It's so important to want to help other people and be able to know that I hate people who feel like, oh, I've arrived and you're just a peasant. Nobody's a peasant. Somebody was where you were at one time. You were there as well. Sometimes it's just the God's favor that got you
Amen.
through. But sometimes people have to go through some things that all they need to hear is a kind word or a positive reinforcement here and there. So I'm wholeheartedly with you on that. Mia, I am so proud we had this opportunity to finally chat it up.
Yeah.
But also, I'm proud of all the work you've done. And, it makes me it puts a smile on my face every time I get a chance to read something you have that I was like, man, that was such a great story. So keep the storytelling, keep doing what you're doing. And, anything we can do here, let me know. And I tell everybody, like Bernie Mac used to say, now you're part of the HBCU Legends family. I know Anscape will say, hey, Kyle, no, she belongs to us, but now she's a part of our family now, and you
Hey,
can't get rid of us.
listen, you ain't getting rid of me at all. Now, when I come down and I need some food recommendations, trust me, I know who I'm going like.
Well, I'm here. Here, let me know if you need anything from New Orleans to Houston. I got you.
I
All
can't.
right.
I'm eating good.
Okay. I'm Kyle T. Mosley, HBC Legends. That's the fantastic Mia Berry from Anscape. Mia, thank you so much.
Kyle, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. We'll talk offline. Guys, follow us at HBCU Legends on all social media platforms, as well as on YouTube to build up our YouTube channel. But also go support an HBCU. And if you are HBCU grad, don't forget, support as an alma mater the alumni associations. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. Have a great one. Take care. All right, we're here with Coach Dishman. Coach, spring game just concluded. What's your thoughts?
Atlanta. Oh, I thought I was singing a song like somebody else. Atlanta. I guess I can't sing that well, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I think we got out healthy, which is great, and our goals remain the same: beat the school up north, win the SWAC, win the West, and go to Atlanta.
And go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you
I
still
would
got
say-
you still have Georgia on your mind.
Yeah, I would sing it, but I can't sing it good, and I'm not gonna sing. And other people who can't sing it good shouldn't sing either.
No, we're gonna leave that to them. Coach.
All right.
All right. What's the next step after the spring game? What's the progression for the Tigers team?
Classroom. Every guy's got to get in the classroom, keep the grades up. They have more. We reminded those young men they have more time right now, and it's easy to slack off. Right now, we've got to hit the classroom like we hit spring ball. We hit spring ball we had 15 practices. The guys, everything went well. Right now, we've got to hit the classroom just like that.
And when do you guys start summer?
We probably won't start to June sometimes, or late June sometimes. You know, right now we got to get our strength and conditioning up. I want to get those guys a good 3 weeks to 4 weeks in the classroom, hitting the books hard, going to study hall, and taking care of the business.
Okay, excellent. Well, Coach, thank you, and we'll see you in the summer.
All right.
All right, HBCU Legends fans, as well as the Black Sports Insiders, I'm Kyle T. Mosley here to bring you some inside news on what's happening with the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge. And to be able to give us more insight into what's happening, we have here with us Miss Jasmine Cockfield, and she's going to be able to shed some light on what's going to happen down the 36 challenge, correct?
Mm-hmm. All the way in Los Angeles, California.
In LA. Man, you guys got to give me a plane ticket. I got to get to LA. Oh, well, anyway, Jasmine, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having Honda.
Yo, you're welcome. Look, the Honda brand has been helping out HBCUs. You guys were responsible for the Battle of the Bands competition that happened earlier this year. I think Nick Cannon was involved with that as well. Talk about what Honda's initiatives are to be able to assist HBCUs.
Yeah, so thank you again for the opportunity to speak about Honda's commitment. I'm going to start with that, right? So in 1989, the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge was started at Honda. So this program has been in existence for 36 years. A lot of folks know this as the HBCU Quiz Bowl. It is a Jeopardy style event for students. And so for 36 years, Honda has been having the thrilling 32 HBCU schools participate in the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge at the national competition. But then there are some qualifying competitions that happen in advance in order to get to the national competition.
Oh, really?
So that's, yeah. So this is the older sister program, which is the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge. And then the younger sister program, obviously, is the Honda Battle of the Bands, which was started in 2003. So those are the two events that have Honda's branding, right? But then there are also other extensive partnerships that Honda has had with HBCUs and HBCU organizations. So like the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, the National Urban League, we're a major partner with them. They're one of our groups that we support for the Business Executive Exchange Program. I had to think about it because they changed the name a couple of years ago, but it is the Business Executive Exchange Program. And both of those programs immerse HBCU students into real life work scenarios. And so Honda's happy to be, for them to be some of our external partners that we work with on the HBCU commitment side as well.
Excellent. Well, I guess when I'm looking at Honda, of course, everybody knows the name brand as far as the vehicles are concerned and everything with power generation as well. But you guys have been entrenched for 36 years, and
Mhm.
that's been something that I guess most of the public is not aware of. Why is that commitment to HBCs? What do you guys see, and how are you guys helping to employ some of the people who may come from HBCUs as well?
So I'm a graduate of the greatest HBCU on the planet. I'll start there. A graduate of the Jackson State University.
Oh my
Um,
goodness, she's a tiger.
I am married to a Morehouse man.
Well, look,
Um,
you're great. Now you have my heart because I'm a Morehouse man. All right, now we can continue on. Come on.
right, we can see the conversation. I'm a third generation HBCU grad. So my grandparents actually met at Alabama State in the 50s.
Wow.
So my legacy of HBCU started at Alabama State. So I always have a little special place in my heart with Alabama State. My mom went to Jackson State. I went to Jackson State, and I happened to marry a Morehouse man. So HBCU culture, obviously, for me, is near and dear. So I will say that one of the reasons why I look forward to coming to work every day is because of Honda's commitment, right? I told the story when I was, in the press conference for the Honda Battle of the Bands that I went from attending the Honda Battle of the Bands, supporting the boom, the best boom and the best band in the land, and Sonic Boom of the South, to leading the Honda Battle of the Bands.
Gotcha.
And so that, that was a full circle moment for myself. But then also I had friends who participated in the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge. And that's one of the, things that we talk about now when I'm in my Jackson State group chats. They're like, oh my God, I remember HCAS in 08, 09. So for me, it's full circle because, I used to support the events that Honda had. Now, from the side of the Honda perspective, let me tell you a couple of stories, right? A couple of success stories. So we have a student now, a graduate of Alabama A&M. Name is Muhammad. He's based out of Ohio at our Marysville plant. He was an Alabama A&M student who went to the TMCF, Thurgood Marshall College Fund Immersion Program, and he's now an engineer at Honda. He was hired
Oh, wow.
and he'll be coming out to HCAS to support his fellow alumni school, Alabama A&M, who will be participating in HCAS. And so he'll have an opportunity to share his story of his pipeline from Alabama and A&M to TMCF immersion to now working at Honda. Right. And so that's just one of the many success stories. With the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge program, we have Hall of Famers. Nikema Williams, who is the congresswoman from here in Atlanta, who replaced John Lewis after his passing. She is a HCAS Hall of Famer. Right. So she went back a few years ago and tell her story of sitting right where the students are now, representing an entire region of the country in Congress. But she did credit a lot of her being able to speak publicly and things like that while she was at Talladega College, being a part of HCAS. So I think Honda's commitment, not only for my personal life, but then just those few stories that I mentioned, it just continues to ring true that Honda's committed, and they'll continue to be committed to making sure that the best and the brightest minds at HBCUs have an opportunity to look at Honda as a career.
Yeah, definitely. And just to listen to those stories as well as your own, and to just brings in perspective how Honda is connected with our HBCUs, and a lot of people would love to know how they could be getting, get the opportunities to participate in some of these events. So how can someone, is it like just school based to be able to get involved with the All-Star Challenge, or do the students have to be able to bring their own affiliation?
So we are on a majority of HBCU campuses. I don't want to give the exact number right now because we have some schools who are inactive, but right now we've got 32 HBCUs that are coming out to California. So if you are interested in getting involved with HCAS, you would have to ask your local HBCU campus from the likes of Alabama A&M, the Jackson State Universities, the Morehouse colleges. You would have to look into your student unions or your student centers and figure out, who's over campus activities, right? And figuring out how to get involved with HCAS. We kick off in the fall, like everything else on HBCU campuses, and it ends in the spring. And so there is an opportunity to get involved. And if there is not one on your campus, you can definitely go to the website and reach out at support channels just to see if you would be interested in bringing an administrator who may be reading this or watching it that says, hey, we don't have it. We used to have it. I want to get it back instated, we're happy to help you with that. We have an entire team that's dedicated to that. And so obviously we want students on HBCU campuses involved with HCAS. So quick brag moment for your alma mater. It is the one school that has participated for all 36 years in HCAS.
Of course we
have never missed a year.
Of course, we are the leaders, the champions, the pioneers. We have to be able to set the standard, and and possibly we lost some of the things just to be able to help other schools feel good about themselves, to be able to participate in the challenge. So yes, of course, Morehouse would do that.
Oh gosh, all 36 years. Now they have not been the champion all 36 years.
See, we are gracious enough to be able to allow other people to win.
However, there's actually a HCAS alum who is the coach of the current HCAS team at Morehouse. So he was a player at Morehouse, and now he's the coach. So we have a lot of those full circle moments on the HCAS side. Folks who just love the program and want to come back and still be a part in some kind of way.
Okay. So when the whole challenge goes down in Los Angeles, right? Mm-hmm. All 32 teams will be participating. Mm-hmm. Will there be any community service activities, anything to that nature, or career fairs or something?
So we'll actually
get them activated.
Yeah, so in conjunction with HCAS, every year there's a Honda Day. And so we have where Honda associates who are local to the area will be able to come and, talk to students and have engagement with the students, talk about career opportunities, tell them their stories, right? From engineering backgrounds to HR backgrounds. I had a political science degree and I'm at Honda, right? So really? Wow. I think it's a very, an array of majors will be there to talk to students. And so it's an opportunity also to make sure that they know that, we once were in your seats. We once were looking for jobs, right? And so Honda Day is technically the community service day. And then obviously the final day, once they do the championship games and we've done the closing dinner, the next day is when they go to Disney, yet again, sponsored by Honda, as like the let the hair down day and hang out and enjoy yourself. So it's a great opportunity for students to just reward them for all of their hard work up until that point.
Man, that's awesome. Speaking of the Sonic Boom, you guys took over Disneyland when they went to Honda Battle of the Bands.
Let me take off the Honda part.
I've got to give the Sonic Boom their credit. They took over Disneyland. They took over the challenge as well.
They took over the Roses Parade.
The Roses, I forgot about the Roses Parade as well. Correct. I mean, that whole weekend was just Sonic Boom. That's all we heard. And
correct. They were now Honda Battle of the Bands. My dear alma mater was not a part of it this year, but we had 6 amazing schools.
Okay, all right.
So Jackson State did the Roses Parade, which is also under one of Honda's sponsorships. But we had the 6 schools that were participating for HBOB. So we had Alabama State, Alabama A&M, North Carolina A&T, Southern University, Hampton, and UAPB. And what's really interesting is that when we look at these sister programs, HCAS is the older sister, HBOB is the younger sister. 5 of the 6 schools that were competing, not really competing because we call it a showcase for HBOB, right? 5 of the 6 schools that did the showcase for HBOB are also going to be participating in HCAS. The only school that's not coming back for HCAS is UAPB, and that's because they don't have a team right now. Okay. So 5 of the 6 schools that were in HBOB are going to do the sister program HCAS, right? So that's another thing where it shows Honda's commitment. So, it just continues to show, the fact that like HBCUs are just top of mind for Honda, and I can appreciate that for the Honda sponsorship.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So let's just do a quick recap. The event will take place on April 17th in Los Angeles. Where will it be held?
So it's I don't want to say April 17th, right? Because that's when we stream it. Okay. So the event happens. The students will come in on Saturday, I'm getting my dates confused because I'm going in on the 10th because I got to go in and start working, but the 12th. So the students will come in on the 12th. They'll start their games on Sunday, the 13th through 14th. That Monday, they'll do their round robin championship game on that Monday. And then that Tuesday is when they go to Disney, and then everybody flies out on that Wednesday, the 16th. But it will stream on the 17th, Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to know that Morehouse is going to win this year.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
I'm excited.
Goodness.
Yeah.
And I looked into your background. It looks like we have a couple of other connections, too. I went and did some digging.
Oh, well, hey.
I think you from the greatest city on the planet, New Orleans.
That's right,
Louisiana.
right. Yeah. Born and raised, a native. Oh, see?
I am too.
What high school?
Xavier Prep.
Xavier Prep. All right. I dated a girl from Xavier Prep.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, back in the day.
So interesting. You know, Mr. Ike.
Yes. Yes.
Good people.
Very much so. Man, so I attended McDonald 35 Senior High School, the greatest high school of all.
Oh, and, goodness.
You know, it was funny. I was telling this story to a friend of mine when the first time McDonald 35 and St. Aug met at Ted Gormley Stadium for a playoff game back in 1979. And I'm dating myself, guys. 1979. I was headed to St. Aug until I saw that halftime show of 35. I said, oh, I'm going to 35. So, a lot of people still to this day call that one of the greatest halftime shows ever, with long departed Lloyd Harris Jr., who was our band director and my band director. And so, but that was one of the best shows ever, to be able to hit the field in New Orleans at that time. So anyway, I digress. But I tell you one thing, I'm proud of what you guys are doing, supporting HBCUs, continuing with the challenge after all of this time. I love the commitment from Honda. So how can people go and get involved later if they choose to do so?
So you can follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow our website for updates. HCASC and the sister program, HBOB, are all on social media channels. And feel free to reach out if you want to get involved. There are some reach out emails that if you're interested, and we do have volunteers for the HCASC side of the program if they're interested in getting involved. But we're happy to just continue to display the commitment of Honda when it comes to HBCUs.
Wow, awesome. Well, I tell you what, I would love to be able to see what's going to happen, and I appreciate Honda being able to extend this offer for all the other 30. How many other teams? Is it 32 altogether?
So it's the Thrilling 32.
That's the Thrilling 32.
The Thrilling 32 are coming to California.
So I'm very honored that Honda gave the other 31 a chance to be there, and Morehouse is going to win. So I really do appreciate that fact that they have extended that invitation to them. But in all seriousness, it's a great program. You guys check out the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge that will be streamed April 17th. You can find it on most of the social media platforms as well as YouTube. And Jasmine, thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for having us. And go get a Honda Accord.
A Honda Accord. Well, that's not bad.
Go get a Honda Prologue. Go get an Acura ZDX.
Yeah, don't get one of those electric cars yet, guys. You get totally off the grid. But anyway, Honda keeps doing.
Honda does have electric vehicles, so don't do that.
They have some electric vehicles, right? But Jasmine, any last thoughts or any other things that you'd like to share before we leave?
No, I'm just grateful to have this platform to talk about Honda's commitment. Again, as an HBCU grad, I can't stress enough the hard work that goes into this for me. Having that, corporate social responsibility background, and then now being able to really give back to the institutions that have given so much to me and my family. So I tell people all the time, it's hard work, but it's hard work too. Because there are a lot of details. There are a lot of details that go into making sure that, these students for both sides of these programs. But I enjoy it, and it's what gets me up every day. It's what gives me the thrill to get up every day and continue to do this work. So thank you again for this platform.
That's excellent. I love how you put that. It's hard work, but it's hard work. And guys, don't be afraid of little hard work. It's not going to kill you. All right. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends, as well as the Black Sports Insiders, here with Jasmine Cockfield. Jasmine, thank you very, very much. And guys, go and support Honda's All-Star Challenge, as well as anything else with those Battle of the Bands. But they didn't invite Morehouse. I'm not going to take that against them, but for the Battle of the Bands. But I'm just kidding. All right, Jasmine, you have a good one, okay?
I didn't say anything.
I saw that look like.
We're not really here to discuss Morehouse band.
Morehouse ain't gonna touch the Sonic. I saw how you were looking at me, and I understood. I've been there. My 58 years, I understand that look.
All HBCUs are invited to apply to be a part of the Honda Battle of the Bands or the Honda Campus All-Star Challenge.
Okay, Jasmine. All right. The great thing about her, she's a New Orleans native, and she's part of Jackson State University, the national champions, and they did very well in this basketball round as well in the sport.
Yeah. Congratulations to Alabama State and Southern University. Got to give a big shout out.
Yes.
Dr. Ross at Alabama State, big shout out to their men for the way they competed against Auburn was amazing.
Yes, they did. Almost tied the game if Knox hit those free throws. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. You guys have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.